Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're doing well, having a fantastic one out there. I am really looking forward to hearing this album. I am really excited about diving into this one, and I hope that you guys are as well. Today, we are diving into a full album reaction. Mark Isham, trumpeter, keyboardist, composer, musician. We are listening to his full studio album after his name, Mark Isham, released in 1990. This is not his first and debut studio album, interestingly enough. This comes about 7 years after his debut album of Vapor Drawings. This one, which is self-titled. Anyways, why are we giving this a listen? Honestly, it's one that I had on my personal playlist and wish list of albums to listen to. And so it's not necessarily one that had been suggested by anyone. It's really just one that I'm choosing to listen to. And it's kind of hard when I go through in the comments and searching his name, because obviously we've heard him playing with many other musicians. But as you can see by the comments, when I type in Mark Isham, you know, I get a lot of comments just about him and not necessarily anything regarding the album. Although I'm quite sure that it's very likely that he's been mentioned in there and the album has been suggested in there. So I apologize if I miss you. I know you're there. Also, I have some cookies in the oven, so I'm going to have to run out at 2 points. One, to put them in the oven. I have it preheating actually right now. And another point, like maybe 12 minutes later, just to take them out. I'm just warning you before we dive in. But dive in we shall. If you don't mind, get the plugs out the way. The Buy Me a Coffee is there if you'd like to sponsor a song request. The Patreon's there for exclusive content, as always. And as always, if you don't mind pressing that like button, it helps a great deal here, right where you are on YouTube. Okay, I'm looking forward to this. I hope that you guys are as well. I forgot my water. I guess I'll have to grab it when I go back in the kitchen. Okay, let's at least cover the first track here, which is going to be Honeymoon Nights. Here we go, guys. I'm looking forward to this one. You know I love that ambience. I'm really looking forward to this. Just brilliant. I love his playing. I love that very light melody, that wow, 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 wow. It's catchy in its own way, isn't it? turn up. I like the jam that is going to take place here. This is so relaxing to listen to. I am so excited for this album. I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of this. Okay, so I didn't mention it in the beginning, and I guess I should have made some sort of precursor to diving into this. But I'm familiar with Mark Isham's work as through David Sylvian and a few other random little songs and features here and there. So that's like my introduction into Mark, and that's why I'm wanting to dive into a full album from him, and it's just been on my list for a long time to hear one. So this is how we got also to Mark himself. All right, this is a fantastic track, just built with subtleties. It's so melodic, it's so calm to listen to. And his trumpet playing, I love the style, the way that he plays. It reminds me, like, I put him and John Hassel, in a very similar Venn diagram, a very similar circle in how they play. And I love the slow notes and how, not brooding, but thoughtful, the way that he plays and the way that he approaches the trumpets. And he's also handling on this album, and just in general, he also handles some of the electronics, some of the keyboards, and that general ambience, which sounds really nice in here. You also have vibraphone from Edman, which is really cool, from Zappa. And then you have David Torn on here, who we've listened to a solo track as well recently, but he's also played with David Sylvian. So, you have a little bit of a Sylvian connection. And very interestingly enough, you have Chick Corea on piano throughout on this album. So, like, you have some really fantastic names. John Patitucci on bass as well. You have some really big names handling a lot of the music throughout this album here. And this piece is a really fantastic entry point, a really beautiful way to open up this particular flower, and for us to hear the bloom of music that is Mark Isham. I love the halfway point here. Let me pull it up. What? No. Went on to the next song. I love the halfway point of Honeymoon Nights, where we get this little change. I love this melody that... I love how that plays there. This little change. So Torn gets a little bit more moments to kind of jam out a little bit. And I like how it really does feel like the drums are about to come in and the music's about to just go. And yet it doesn't. It still has a great amount of restraint before it moves forward. And in this section, I mean, I would expect the drums to come out. You have Alex Acuna handling drums and percussion on the album. But I like how we don't. We take a step back, and we don't need to go into the typical, the conventional, the expected. Let's journey elsewhere, perhaps into the unexpected, you know? So I just really like the way that that was, that restraint was handled in that particular part of the track here. And even Mark himself, of course, his trumpet is allowed to become a little bit more lively at that section, you know? So I just think that was really cool, and I just love how this is such a beautifully catchy and melodic way to open up the album. Now, I'm going to go put my cookies in the oven. We're going to try and keep these timed. I'll be right back. Listen, it would take me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail to put this in the oven. And that's it. Can I come back? Here we go. Okay, I'm walking back from the kitchen. I'm in the hallway. I'm at the door. And we're back. See, it didn't even take me too long. I could have probably put something fun on the screen for you to watch while I was gone, because we all know I'm not editing if I don't have to. All right, let's move on into the next track here, which is I Never Will Know, which apparently has some vocals because I accidentally skipped into them. Good.
Keep sun in some faces, keep warm inside. I'll take it, I'll make it. The days you pride yourself
soft padding of synth back there.
He won't be your making or make some peace with you. Well, I saw it, I know it's true. It should be someday one when I ride high. I try to be near you, say at least I tried. I keep on checking so low, envy and so hey.
That bass.
Listen, my lesson too.
This is like a feel-good album so far.
It should be and can't see where you ever will go. It should be and can be, but I never will know. But I never will.
Gotta love how he fills
Keep
in.
grinning, heart laughing, that helps to soothe. I witness, I've been there, the same as you.
That bass sounds so
I can't
good.
be always angry. It makes this dance seem pale. Hey, your lesson, my lesson too. I should be and can see
There you go.
where you ever will go. It
I love how he fills in every single time pretty much after a
I
verse.
send this, it's easy when you can't keep. I cross a stone river, say these I need.
Nice bouncy bass.
There will be some receiving, there will be some for me. Hey, your love lust, it burns in me. I should be and can't see where you ever will go. It should be and can be, but I never will. I should be and can see
Inspiring.
where you ever will go. It should be and can be, but I never will. But I never will.
It's just a beautiful like ocean of melody to listen to, just to float with. Once again, a extremely nice, laid back, and calm and comforting song this one is. Of course, now we have some vocals featured here, and the singer is going to be Tanita Tikaram, who's handling vocals here, which if I pull up her Wikipedia article, a British pop folk singer-songwriter. She achieved chart success with singles Twist, In My Sobriety, and Good Tradition. Now, I can't say that I've ever heard of Miss Tanita Tikaram, but I really like the grounded and earthy way that she sings in here. I feel like listening to her singing, I feel like she's a singer that very well could sing out in a more outwardly expressive kind of way, but for a track like this is approaching it very, very reserved and leaving a lot of space for the actual ambience and surroundings of the music, and of course for Isham's trumpet playing as well. Which I really like the way that he kind of segments his playing. She will sing a line and then he will come in and kind of reiterate, you could say, a line of his own music and his own melody, of course, via the trumpet. And it's kind of this nice back and forth direction that the track kind of deviates from and goes back and forth from between her singing and then the trumpet playing. I always like how he tails her, basically. And then we have just a nice assortment of sound and a good scenery in the background, just as ambience and atmosphere behind the music. You hear a little bit of percussion now. Obviously, you have the drum rhythm, which is very simple, but you have the percussion even behind that with a lot of little sounds coming out of Acuna's bag of tricks, I would say. But like I said, much more in a subtle, quiet manner, not so overt. This isn't Talking Heads we're talking about. This is Mark Isham and something with a little bit more of a subtle approach to how he plays back there. And like I said, the bass is fantastic. Now, you have two people performing bass on the album, John Patitucci, who we mentioned, and then also Douglas Lunn. While I can't tell you who's playing on this one, I can tell you that it sounds absolutely beautiful. It is warm, it is inviting, and not only does it just back up the music, but it actually reinforces it with a little extra. And I think that sounds absolutely fantastic the way that it's performed here. Let me back it up just a smidge. So you also are going to have Isham more than likely handling that soft pad of keyboards underneath it all as well. So like even the back here, the ding ding ding. Like I think that Acuna is back there with her percussion and just constantly doing something, constantly adding another atmosphere and another rhythm into the music beyond just what's overtly there. And I like the way he adds that in there. Keep sun in some faces, keep warm inside. I'll take it, I'll make it. The days you pride yourself on, he won't be eager making or make some peace with you. Well, I saw it, I know it's true. It should be someday one when I ride high. I tried to be near you, say at least I tried. I keep on checking solo and be early, and so, hey, your lesson, my lesson too. The things that you learn from, I can learn too. It should be and can't see where you ever will go. It should be and can be, but I never will know. I never will know. So even though she says, certain things should be, that's not necessarily the case for how it's going to be for me. Keep grinning, hard laughing. That helps to soothe. I witnessed, I've been there, the same as you. Like I've been in that same place. I've been in that same position or emotion. I can't always be angry. It makes the stance seem pale. Hey, your lesson, my lesson too. There's always that reminder of the thing that I'm teaching you in your lesson is also something that can be reciprocated back to me. Woe, these dancers makes the time turn night. Heaven help the romancer. You never got it. You never get it right. You never got it. You never got it in the past, and you never get it right. I send this, it's easy, when you can't keep. I cross a stone river, say least I need. There will be some receiving, there will be some for me. Hey, your love lost, it burns in me. That thing you lost, I have it. It burns in me. Then the chorus repeats, I should be and can't see. Where you ever will go, should be and can be, but I never will know. So even still at the end, even through personal experience, she says, I never will know. I can't, I'm unable to grasp or have the thing that you have the possibility of having. Like there's something kind of in there. I never will know, but you can know. I should be, but I can't see. It's not for me. It's perhaps more for you. That's where I kind of get this track. That's where I kind of see it going. Now, before we move into the next track, which is Marionette, I think it's going to take up a little bit more time because a little over 5 minutes, and my cookies are going to be done. So you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to do something for you. I think my alarm's going off. See? Here. How about this? Watch some bears for the next 2 minutes. That wasn't so bad, was it? I wasn't gone so long. I was gone like 1 minute. 1 minute was all I needed. Okay. Get these bears off my screen. Duh, bears. Let's go ahead and move on to the next track here. They're just cheap, pre-baked cookies. My wife and I said, we're having a little day off. We just want some cheap cookies. All right. Let's move on to the next track, Marionette. Here you go. Marionette. I barely know her. Sorry. This is that bass, man. The bass. Wow. Listen to that slide. kind of sounds like a 80s detective story soundtrack. I love that slide on the bass, I'm sorry. Good space. Oh. There's Torn. That's good. Love the catchiness of that melody too. Love when there's a space. I really love all the space that's allowed in here, keeping that snare away, basically. Drums are building up a little bit, though. Can I tell you? Okay, so coming from someone whose favorite album of all time, Secrets of the Beehive, right? Favorite album of all time. There's no questioning that. Coming from someone whose favorite album of all time is Secrets of the Beehive, which honestly I should probably have more front and center in relation to this. let's put Suzuki up here. It's really cool to hear how well aligned Isham's music is with Sylvian, and because this sounds like a Sylvian side project, obviously taken out of here, and just replace vocals with trumpet. Give it to Isham. Because the mood of it is, I would say, closer maybe to like Gone to Earth, to be honest, but it's still in that circle. This is a really cool track in that Mark has now given us like a very catchy melody in here. There's a chorus in this particular track, and there's a swing to it. Yeah, you still have those deep layers of padded keys and synths and some cool percussion to go around. Some really great focused drumming as well. I like how a lot of the groove was like hit on threes on the hi-hat, and a lot of the snare and kick work is kind of more in the back. And there's a big amount of space that's left for everything else, especially the bass, which, like I said, I don't know who's playing on this particular track, but they're playing fantastically. That slide, whoever's playing the bass, the slide, wow. That the whole track, really from like the beginning almost to the end, is kind of made up of. I'm gonna say it, it's sexy, man. Listen to the bass slide. The way it opens up like petals to the sun is just really fantastic. And of course, Mark comes in there. But I love that. It's just like it's opening it up. What are we opening it up for? For the music to come on in and do its thing. And it sounds absolutely awesome. I like how it's a simple thing, and then that just builds off of it later on. It's a simple. Okay, cool. That's how we start off. But we begin to fill that in a lot more, especially when the drummer leaves some space. When Acuna leaves some space here, several times. This is that chorus. This is that very catchy chorus. That's a great melody that they all come together on. It's so strong. But listen to the dip. Here you go. This is the dip. Right? Pace out that snare now. Allow space for the soloist. And it's a tight solo too. Leave a lot of space still. Torn comes in. I love that. I love how the bass solo is almost less of a solo and more of like starting off on a new melodic line. And then Torn comes in there with his heavy and yet so still ethereal guitar. Like I said, this is how my mind works. These are David Sylvian alumni. So to have them back in here again is just incredible. And they work so well together. The fluidity of the music is not to be understated. And now, on the second time it comes around, now Isham comes in as well. It's just really, really fantastic. And some of this makes me think, I don't know why, but some of this is making me think like this would be good background music for like some 80s, early 90s detective crime procedural show or something. Something about this kind of made me think of like a detective in his office looking at, what is it called? Not the roadmap, but all the, the strings from this to that, and he's trying to figure out the case. He's got a half bottle of scotch. He pulls out the drawer, and he's got his still lit cigarette on the ashtray. Like, there's an imagery I get to this. But this is a really fantastic track, and I'm having a great time. I don't know if you're having a great time, but I'm having a great time. So let's continue this time with the next track here, An Eye on the Worlds. Sounds like tabla to me. This is going to be one of those albums you could just put on anytime. Interesting. Yeah, that. fill on the snare. I like how this track moves. I'm paying a lot of attention to the percussion. It's really nice here. Yeah, the guitar's like screaming back there. There's your light. This is a very euphoric climax right here. Once again, an insanely catchy track on the album. I love the focus on percussion here from the very beginning. It almost sounds like tabla there in the opening, and I love how that just continues throughout this track. It's very, very percussive focused, and so Acuna is doing a lot of great work here. And I love how that continues on. It keeps that stream of rhythm. But then we begin to insert a lot more. You have the snare, and there's some really tight fills in there. He kind of machine guns it really quick, but he kind of rolls into it. It's not the he's like hit this microphone. But like I think like those little things are really cool, and they're done at unpredictable moments. So it kind of creates this very organic live kind of feel to it as well. And then I love when we kind of move into the climax of the song, which is such a soft climax. So a lot of space. This is just the beginning road. But then when Torn comes in a little bit more later on, everything changes around that. Here. And then Isham's melody, this catchiness. Ba, ba, ba. It's very, very singable. And then that just repeats into the end. And I really like how on an album like this that is mostly instrumental and it's for the most part pretty laid back, decently, right? But in this track here, I love how it moves from something more laid back and thoroughly focused to something very adventurous with that climax there. And it's not some crazy climax where Torn comes in on the guitar with like huge chords and the drums are like really going off. It's really a soft and subtle climax here, held with a lot of control. And because it allows some of those more subtle elements to kind of unfold, like for example right there, the tabla, you hear that bum bum bum, like it's a little bit more than it was before. But all these things done in accordance, but also in subtlety, makes this for, I think, a listen that you could always get something out of it. And you're not just focused on the big melody, you're focused on the adjacent melodies. You're focused on the adjacent rhythm and the percussion from Acuna and Torn's guitar. And, he's not just playing the same riff over and over. He's adding fills in there. It's like you get a lot out of this, depending on how far you want to lean your ear to the ground, I guess you could say, with this track. But I really love how open it is and expansive here. And then the way that it swings into that satisfying ending. Because that's beautiful. I love how it's just this sonic and beautiful colored wash of ambience underneath. Obviously created by everyone, but I think that that comes across incredibly well. Let's move on into the next track here, which is Blue Moon. Hey. Now we're getting a groove. I gotta pull up the lyrics again.
You saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.
I like how the vibraphone picked up with the bass and the horn there.
Just what I was there for. You heard me sing a prayer for
Big pads there.
someone I really could care for.
Like how the vibraphone gets a little moment and then it leads to Mark. Nice little tinkling right after. Like metal, obviously. This is just a great album just to relax to and chill. But you still have a great amount of subtle musical depth in here.
Now I'm no longer alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own.
Seems like it could be a single off the album.
Without a love of my own. Without love of my own. Without a love of my own. Without a love of
This could be the ultimate album to relax to. I feel like I'm getting the gist of it so far, and it feels like one you can put on almost at any time. You can put it on for a dinner party. You could put it on to wake up in the morning with breakfast. You could put it on a night drive home from work late at night to de-stress. You could probably put this on in so many different ways. Put this on in the emergency room if you're a doctor or a surgeon before you go into surgery, and they calm you right down. Or maybe you're the patient and I don't know, you're stressing out or something. This will bring you down as well. This track also is okay. Obviously, we have the vocals, so there's a catchiness to it. I feel like this one could have really easily been a single from the album because it is so, I think, expressive of Isham's works that we've heard so far on the album. You know, lots of room for him to play, but the mood is also really nice as well. And I think that the singing would give the audiences something to latch onto, and just the vocals there. And I love how, once again, so stately and grounded the vocal performance here as well. You know, it's once again going to be Tanita here, and I like how her vocals don't take away from the music. You know, it's still very, very much focused on the instrumental, but at the same time, it just gives another human voice and a human touch to kind of latch onto and to feel. And I think that for the subtle way that she sings, you do get a great amount of feeling in here. It's not overly expressive, but it's just enough. It's just that little bit of extra. And I think that her voice really works nicely in an earthly way with the rest of the music. Because, for example, the vibraphone is very bright in here, right? You know, the way that it follows is very bright. Isham's trumpet playing, tonally, there's a brightness to it, even when he's playing in a more low meditative kind of way, but there's a brightness to it, and so on and so forth. So I just like how her voice acts as this grounding for everyone to kind of work off of. The bass playing, of course, is fantastic in here. You know, I gotta mention the bass. And I love how calm the bass line is. I'm assuming you have it sounds like a drum machine to me in this particular track, even though you have two drummers, excellent drummers on the album, but perhaps he just wanted a more electronic direction on here because the drums do sound programmed. But it's a cool sound though. Well, maybe it's not programmed. I don't know. Yes, the initial sound of it sounds programmed. But as I'm listening, I'm like, maybe not. But I'm not 100% sure, if I'm being honest. I think I would argue that it's probably programmed with a little extra someone playing percussion behind it. That's how I think that it's put together. But I think that this one comes across as the most single worthy. And what do you know? There's a Wikipedia article for it, and I promise I did not look at this before. I didn't see it. Okay, so Blue Moon is a popular song written by Richard Rodgers and Lorenz Hart in '34 that became a standard ballad. Okay, so this is a cover then that they're performing. Well, it's just a very popular song, so I suppose that makes sense then. Other charting versions, anything from Isham here? Not that I see. It didn't sound familiar to me either. I wonder if I've ever heard the track. All right, but a nice one nonetheless. Shall we move on into the next track here, which is going to be Ashes and Diamonds. Not Diamonds and Ashes. Ashes and Diamonds. And not Diamonds and Rust. This is such a really relaxing album to listen. I know I said it over and over, but like right now I'm in a relaxed mood. This is perfect. I just want to chill. Just want to chill. That's probably a chick. Very spacey track. Those long held notes from Mark are one of my favorite things from him. Those long, raspy, atmospheric ones. Ashes and Diamonds is a perfect kind of cool down track. Not that the previous track, Blue Moon, was overly exciting or anything, but I love how there's no drums, no percussion, just a great spacey ambience to build a way in. And I like how we get a good feature of the organ in here. Once again, that's going to be John Novello on organ. And I did mention in the beginning I have Chick Corea on the piano, and I'm assuming that it's in this track. Perhaps you have him. Because those runs up and down the keyboards, the piano, that sounds like something that he would do. And I'm assuming also, not only is it him just stylistic wise, but we get the piano playing in such a clear manner here as well. And it just sounds like it's him. One thing I've always enjoyed listening to Mark from, or his style of trumpet playing, is those long held, those sustained raspy notes that he kind of does too. There's like a breathy kind of like it sounds like, okay, I did it horribly and it sounds like I'm making fun of it, but I'm not. Like there's like there's a sounds like I'm just being stupid. There's just a breathy way that he plays, and I like when it shows itself more evident in those higher notes and when he's just kind of holding onto the note for a while. I think it sounds cool. I don't know why it's coming across weird. But once again, I like how this is just a spacey 3-minute track with some really great atmospheres that are being built. Let's see if he hits it here. Maybe I can show you what I'm thinking. I mean, that's a more subtle way. It's like a whispery kind of way, but it gets the point across. A little pause, a little hesitation. I'm not gonna find it so quick, but you know what I mean. Either way, incredible atmosphere. I love how this could just be a perfect piece of ambient music. I mean, it is a perfect piece of ambient music, but with the trumpet playing, it just elevates it to a higher level. Towards the Infinite White. Here we go. I like Torn's guitar right there. It's a very cool effect. This has the perfect follow-up. That is the perfect follow-up. He held you for that one. He held you on that one. Nice return of the organ there. Little moments that come across in such a cool way. This almost has a talk atmosphere to it. High notes there. And Torn wraps it up with this nice melody right here too. He's playing. Okay. Perfect follow-up to Ashes and Diamonds. No drums, no percussion in there, just beautiful spacey ambience. And we start off in a perfectly connected way with Towards the Infinite White. We are moving towards that infinity. And I like how we still keep things percussionless, no drums, just allow the ambience to perfectly wash over and continue from the previous track. But that moment, I gotta find where it came in. That moment when the music came in, okay, right? Continuing on the thread, I want to say it's like, come on, when it was like around here. The hold. Oh, nice swing into that. And I like how, once again, it's not some overtly overt in your face Phil Collins in the air moment. Ba 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 ba. No, it's just a hold on the horn, and then just Torn bringing that wash of guitar in, that ambience, the organ returns. Like, it's just this cool, satisfying release that doesn't need like some big release. It's just a small release. So once again, it doesn't kill the mood. This is actually, I would say this is the most romantic track on the album so far as well. I think it deserves the oh my, especially with that horn hold there. That horn hold? That's beautiful. And we do, I mean, you just give the just have some cymbals there on the sides, but you do eventually get some more percussion as well, but it's once again in a very light way. But it's that ambience around it. And Torn gets some interesting moments in here as well. There's some playing he does in here that is very experimental in the most like subtle and quiet of ways, but I love that ambience that he has with that reverse sound on the melodies. Torn, I don't know, I've never looked it up, but Torn sounds to me like he could be a student of Fripp. Just a brilliant track. Here, there's Torn. I was trying to find the moments where he's like playing a little bit more. Like even that wow, 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 wow. Like it's melodic, but there's a certain sharpness to it. There's a certain edge to the way he plays there. And listening to this, it's reminding me of Talk Talk, actually. I mentioned them while this was going, but like now going through the album, it's because it sounds like an album that's kind of improvisational, kind of written down, played in the dark by candlelight, let the musicians figure it out. It kind of has that kind of energy. Feels a little improvisational, but with maybe a few notes put down like Davis Kind of Blue or something. But this felt like a great climax, and especially, like I said, a great connection to the previous track. Let's see where this next one goes. Songs of the Flying Fish. Here we go. Oh, I didn't press play on it. Hear them gasping for air. Some trouble brewing with that. I love the thumping of that bass. Kind of Peter Gabriel-esque. That is some playing. Okay, it's going to be really hard choosing a favorite song on this album because one, all the songs like work so well in context and listening to them, you know, just going through the album A to Z. But then like they do have their own identities. But they also feel like like I just want to put this album on at any point during the day and I feel like it's going to work great. This to me feels very Peter Gabriel. This acts to me as like kind of a climax on the album. I know we have one more track left and it's the longest one on the album so far, but Songs of the Flying Fish has a big ambience behind it that works almost in a big overt way. Whereas the previous two tracks kept things a little bit more quiet. I would say more Ashes and Diamonds. You know, this kind of continues perfectly in the back half of Infinite White, where it is a little bit more expressive and there is a little bit more going on. And the trumpet playing is obviously amazing, and I think the bass, that thump, is really good. There's a big ambience on the keyboards and the guitar as well from Torn. Like, everyone, I think, gets involved. This feels like the most involved track from the album. And busy isn't the word I want to use, but it feels like the busiest track on the album in a great way. I just feel like everyone's doing something. Like everyone's pulling a lot of strings and a lot of weight on this one. This one, you could almost fit this in on Peter Gabriel's Passion. See, even Torn still hitting them backward guitar notes. A lot of crystalline sounds as well. Drums giving a lot of room on the toms and writing it. Like, Songs of the Flying Fish. I'm not sure why it's called Songs of the Flying Fish, but I guess it does sound like the fish are flying. They're hopping in and out, and I mean they're either flying in the ocean or frying in the pan. But regardless, this feels like a big climax to the album. I don't know, it just feels like a complete ending. I am curious where the next track's going to go, because this just felt like such a conclusive moment. Listen to the bass. And I also feel like this could be arguably the heaviest track on the album. But we got one more to go. A Little Turkish Delight. Okay, maybe this could be featured on the Passion. That was like a Tony Levin bass growl coming in. Vibrato. I love the way it worms its way in. Someone's just kicking the can over there. Okay. This sounds like Rain Tree Crow. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Bass is carrying this hard. There you go. Keep it going. They give you so many pauses and such. That kind of sounds kind of Zappa-esque. This guitar line. It does a little bit. Bass is very placed. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Isham, self-titled album, full reaction, full review. Turkish Delight actually feels like it might be the most complete song on and track on this album. And I love how bare bones a lot of it feels. And we get kind of a a nice summary of everything we've heard before throughout the album, just kind of in a more experimental, slightly direction here. I love, once again, how percussive and percussion focused the music is here, with a lot of room given to even just like very specific and small sounds, such as a little clinking and such in the space here. And at least for the most of the track, like initially, we have a lot of space, but it's empty space. It's not just filled with like organ and keyboards and such. That happens later. But there's actually just a lot of empty space, almost acting as if something very barren in the song. So I really like how that space is used. And then eventually we start to fill that in a little bit later. The bass playing. So on here, it's actually going to be, now I got everything where it needs to be, like who's on what track. It's going to be Doug Lunn handling bass here. And I love that growly kind of tone that he gets. I like how stately and composed he is as well, because he fits in a very specific part of the puzzle throughout this particular track. And he doesn't really deviate from that too much. But I like how he plays and then stops. Plays his run, stops. And it just, once again, helps create that barren feeling in the track here. Like here, pull it back here. To me, this feels very barren. You know, a lot of emptiness here. And then they take great advantage of all of that space that's happening. I love the depth of his playing. It sounds and it reminds me of Tony Levin in many ways. But then we eventually begin to fill all that up. This switch, let me see if we can find that switch actually. Because this was a change. The first half was basically a ambient prelude. And then it gives you a little pause. Gives you a false ending, like Orpheus. And then what? And then we go into a completely different direction here. But I love how, although out of left field that is, once the music gets going, once Isham comes back in and we get those keys and torn, it fits very well from what came before. It just gave us a perfectly spaced pause. Like this actually fits quite well with this. There was just a change that happened. And it was a quick, sharp change, but it works nonetheless. So I actually really like that kind of left field turn that the music takes there. It's like it starts over and restarts itself with a little bit of a reinvigorated kind of feeling. And the ending is just climactic as well. And that part, that reminds me a little bit of Zappa. I don't know what it is, but with Mark and David playing in synchronization there, they sound very, very Zappa-esque. There's something about the sound of Torn's guitar there. But once again, what a fantastic track this is. I think that this is, as a whole, a really fun album to listen to. And a really, this is just a good time. This is a good album to put on in any respect. And you could leave it as some nice ambience and background music, or you can listen. And I feel like in every way you're going to get rewarded in listening to this album. We haven't read the Wikipedia. I donated already, so get out of here. Let's see. There's no extra information here except that it received a Grammy Award for Best New Age Album at the 33rd Grammy Awards in '91. Of course, you have your people here. And Billboard Top New Age Albums, it peaked at number 20. And I just have the Discogs page here in case, so I have some extra direct information as well. Okay, favorite tracks. I really like Marionette. It's a very strong possibility that I would put Marionette as my favorite. However, if I'm being 100% honest, I think that this album just works really well as a whole. And there are times when perhaps the music is a little bit indistinguishable from one another, but I also would mark that up to me listening to this for the first time. And obviously, as you go on and listen to it several times, you're going to be able to mark between the tracks and such. But yes, there is a little bit of a sameness to it, but I like the sound because it reminds me of an instrumental Secrets of the Beehive. So you ain't going to find me mad at it at all. Let me know what you guys thought down below in the comments section. The Buy Me a Coffee is there if you'd like to sponsor your own song request. Patreon, of course, for exclusive content. And right here on YouTube is where you're at. I appreciate you all being here. I really hope that you enjoyed listening to the album and song alongside with me as well. Hopefully it was a relaxing and maybe a curious journey for you as well. Maybe it got your attention. And I hope that you enjoyed it. Hope you didn't mind me choosing an album that I just wanted to listen to. Every once in a while, you got to give me one. You got to. I'll do the request, but every once in a while, I got to do one for me. And this was one for me, and I hope that you guys enjoyed being alongside with me. Okay, that's it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time, guys. Bye.